we can speak to Moazzam Begg, who himself is a former detainee at Guantanamo, now outreach director for CAGE. It's a group that works for prisoners taken during the war on terror. Good evening.
Good evening.
What's your reaction to this?
I'm overjoyed. I welcome it. It's been something that I and many other people in the country have been fighting for. There was a petition signed last year where over 140,000 people had asked for Shaker Aamer to be released to the UK. You've got people as diverse as Jeremy Corbyn to David Davis of the Conservative Party who've joined together and in an all-party group gone to the United States to ask for Shaker Aamer to be released. He's been cleared twice for release by both Bush and Obama administrations. He's never been charged with a crime, not even under the military commissions process, which is a very low standard of evidentiary proof. Shaker Aamer has been interrogated by the world's most powerful law enforcement and intelligence agencies, and despite that, has never faced a day in court. He has witnessed all sorts of abuses and is being subjected to it himself. So I think it's high time that he returns to a family which includes Faris, who's his youngest child, who's almost 14 years old, and he's never seen his father in all of these years.
When you were released yourself, you've been hearing how this process from being told that you're going to actually getting home can be quite a lengthy and at times complex one.
Yes.
Did things go smoothly in your case, or did it take far longer than you expected?
It took longer, but I had an idea because there'd been some movement, and I had met people who convinced me that I was going to be released. I know in Shaker's case, for example, I know on one occasion that everybody was told that he was going to be released, including his family, who'd prepared a whole welcome home ceremony. This was in 2009, only for them to learn that he's not coming. So that was 6 years ago. And those children at that time were quite small. Now they're all teenagers. So it's been a very cruel way in which he's been dealt with. And I think now finally all those pieces have been put together, and all the right people are saying that he's going to be released. And I think it's going to be now imminent within the next, from what I've understood, within the next month.
Yeah.
So finally it's going to happen.
When he does arrive home, what is it like trying to get back to your previous life, really, trying to reintegrate into society when you've been in that kind of place for such a long time?
Well, I know that you said I was in Guantanamo, and I was, but I was only there for 3 years. I feel almost unqualified to talk about what it's like after 14 years to come home and to reconnect with people who were children and babes in arms to the point at which now they're going to university. I don't know how you can sort of readdress that and rehabilitate and reintegrate into all of that. I don't know who's going to be equipped to be able to do that. Shaker Aamer wasn't held in a despotic dungeon of a despotic regime. He was held by the most vociferous proponent of democracy, the rule of law, and human rights.
Moazzam, thank you very much. I just want to get a political look at this as well. That's Moazzam Begg,
Sure.
former detainee at Guantanamo, because we're also joined by the Shadow Justice Minister, Andy Slaughter MP, who, you've travelled to America as part of a delegation to try and secure his release. We spoke an hour ago to Clive Stafford-Smith, who you'll know is Shaker Aamer's lawyer, and he, even though in theory he will come home in a month's time, he wasn't entirely sure that it would happen quite as swiftly as that. What do you think?
Well, I think Clive, after 14 years, is right to not accept anything until Shaker's actually on British soil. We understand there is a 30-day period that will have begun yesterday or today, so it's unlikely he will be here before the end of October, but there's certainly no reason why it should be any longer than that. And I would hope, given the very clear statements coming out of Washington today, that there can't be any further delay. As you just heard from Moazzam Begg, there have been false alarms before, but this is a very clear indication. So
they have. I mean,
hopeful.
For people who might not have followed this story in depth, he's been cleared since about 2007. He's been cleared by two former US presidents for release, but
Bush.
it never happened. Yeah.
So from the time when he was sold to US troops by a bounty hunter in Afghanistan, was in never any evidence, never any charges against him. And the Bush regime admitted that in 2007, and Obama regime in 2009. So why he's been in there, no one could explain. When we were in Washington, I say that's where I was with Jeremy Corbyn and David Davis, Andrew Mitchell earlier this year, they could not explain. I'm talking about very senior people like John McCain, Patrick Leahy, Dianne Feinstein, the most senior senators in the US, could not explain to us. They were very sympathetic and they said they would lobby Obama, and I've no doubt that helped. But they could not give us any reason why he had not been released.
Yeah, so given all of that, are you confident? Are you convinced that this time he will be released?
I think that if he wasn't now, it would be extraordinary, because we've had this huge pressure building up from the UK, including our visit, including the Prime Minister raising it directly with Obama, and you've got this desire by Obama to close Guantanamo, which he singularly failed to do earlier, and because of that, we are seeing people released from Guantanamo against who there was some evidence, who are going to countries which have terrible human rights records or don't have the same infrastructure to deal with people returning from places like Guantanamo. So it's inconceivable that they should continue to prevent somebody coming back to the UK, I think. But I still would like to see him here.
Yeah, Andy Slaughter MP, thank you. Shadow Justice Minister.